The changing media landscape prompted Congressman George Miller to reach out to bright, young, talented new media interns who spend their college summer break in Washington, D.C., helping to write, produce, direct, and edit our video podcast, Miller TV. This is the first installment from this summer's intern, Jonathan Mann. This is his story.
We have a problem. With gas prices at an all-time high and still climbing, we need a real solution to the energy crisis that combines conservation, efficiency, and renewable fuels. Drilling our way out of this mess will not solve the problem in the short run or ever. But that has not stopped oil companies from trying to use people's anger over high gas prices as leverage to gain drilling rights to 1.4 million acres of the Arctic National Wildlife Reserve. What most people don't know is that oil companies already have permission to drill on 68 million acres of federal land, and those 68 million acres have 10 times the oil that ANWR does, and could fuel this country for another 14 years. Why should the oil companies be allowed to drill in environmentally sensitive places like ANWR, which would only yield marginal price changes 10 plus years from now, when they have plenty of land to drill on now? With the Use It or Lose It bill, Congress is telling oil companies to drill on land that they've been given access to or lose their permits to that land. We sent our cameras to Capitol Hill to talk to people about the energy crisis and what they thought about the Use It or Lose It bill.
I'm currently here today with
John Steedley,
Kay Howell,
Ken,
Blake Castillo,
Chris Coyle. And Chris, where are you from? Seattle, Washington.
New Hampshire, from Georgia,
California.
Washington, D.C.
Oh, really? It's beautiful here this time of year, isn't it?
It is. It's lovely.
Well, tell me, how much do you pay for gas?
It's about $4.30 here on the hill.
Now I think it's about maybe 405.
About $4.50, $4.60.
Well, before I started taking the bus, because gas prices are so high, I mean, I pretty much stopped when it was $4.65 a gallon.
It's about $4 now.
How's that make you feel?
It makes me feel scared.
Well, currently there's been some talk about drilling our way out of this problem. They even want to start, there's been some talk about maybe starting to drill in ANWR. Are you familiar with this information?
Yeah, I've followed it a bit.
Well, there's a recent article published by the federal government that says if we did start drilling in ANWR today, we wouldn't see a price deduction until actually 2030, and even then it would only be a couple pennies. How do you feel about that?
I don't think it's worth the drilling effort.
I think it's a bad idea.
I hadn't heard 2030. I thought it was about 10 years out or 12 years out, but if it is 12 years out or 15, if we had done something 15 years ago, we'd be sitting in a better spot now.
You know what? I checked out my notes and I discovered that Ken was in fact right. Drilling in ANWR would lower prices by the year 2025, not the year 2030. And it would only be a savings of around 1.8 cents. The year 2030 figure I mentioned in the interviews was an estimate for how long it would take for offshore drilling to affect prices. That would also be a saving of around 1 cent. The main point is that there is no drilling our way out of this problem. Whether it's ANWR or opening up offshore drilling, neither will cure skyrocketing fuel prices and our addiction to oil. We will now continue with our presentation.
I think that the real answer is we got to look other means of fuel, not gasoline, electric transportation and more public transportation.
How would you feel if I told you that the oil companies were currently given 68 million acres to drill on, yet they're not drilling there? And given that ANWR is only 1.5 million acres, do you feel like it's fair for them to still go into ANWR?
No, why would it be?
Well, no, I hadn't heard that information, and I don't know why they wouldn't drill if they have the opportunity to up there.
You got to finish what you started.
It's ridiculous to even consider going into ANWR.
Right. Well, what we're trying to do with new legislation is force the oil companies to drill on the land they've been given, the 68 million acres they were given, by threatening to take away their permit if they do not drill now. Do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I do.
I would say so.
If that's what they were given, and that's what they should be doing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the initial agreement was to drill X amount of acres, they should fill up those X amount before they go onto a new area.